I took a break from recording that last video. That was a really painful topic to talk about. I think for a lot of my life, like certain situations I tried to block out so I wouldn't think of it or whatever. Some people in some situations, it was a little hard. A little easier for me to forgive, and then others it wasn't. So I think I had to take like a mental health break when I recorded that last video. But this is part 4. So yeah, my brother got me a ticket, got on a Greyhound, ended up in New Jersey. I was kind of upset because I didn't even know that my brother moved to Jersey, and I thought that I was going back to New York. But anyway, you know, I come to get off the Greyhound at Penn Station. You know, I'm in Newark now. My brother at the time, he was married. He had a 1-bedroom apartment at the time or whatever. So my brother didn't have any kids, so he didn't know anything about like, you know, raising a kid or like the process it would take to get custody or anything like that. But you know, he was trying. He had put me in school. He had registered me in school. He had registered me in Central. I remember for like a whole week and a half, 2 weeks, they didn't give me like a schedule. I wasn't in any classes, but they told my brother that he could just leave me at the school, you know, they'll figure it out. So he'll drop me off in the morning and then come pick me up after school. So I used to do little things like help in the office or like help with the security guards and stuff like that. Like I wasn't in any classes. So I remember one day, you know, regular, you know, he drops me off. I'm sitting with the security guards, and like three ladies and a police officer comes in, and they asked me to come, you know, in the office. And I'm like, you know, okay. So they're talking to me like, hi, Shanique, we're such and such and such, and we're from DYFS. Do you know what DYFS is? I'm like, no. So, you know, they explained it or whatever. So I'm like, okay. And, you know, what do y'all need with me? So they was like, you know, your cousin called us from Chicago. She told us that, you know, she has custody over you and whatever. So they started asking me, questions like, how long have you known, you know, but I won't say his name, but how long have you known your brother, and where did you meet him, and So they, you know, they asking me the questions, so I'm answering it. And then they was asking me the same questions, but like in a different way, as if, you know, I was slow, or like if I was gonna like choke up or something like that. So then, you know, they just can't, you know, I'm like, you know, y'all asking me the same questions over and over again. I just answered it the first time, like, you know, like, what are we doing? So then it was just like, all right, we just gonna cut to the chase. They was like, we know that such and such is not your brother. We know he kidnapped you. Your cousin's order was to send you on the first plane back to Chicago. It was just like I don't know, like something just came over me. I started wilding, like I started knocking stuff over, like I was going off or whatever. So they wound up calling my brother to the school as well. And I was in one. If you went to the Old Central, you know it was 2 offices. So I was in the front office, and they took my brother to the back office, and they wound up arresting him. Or whatever, because back in Chicago, my cousin had put a Amber Alert out on me, which was kind of like weird, because when my little brother like I said, my little brother ran away prior to me running away. It was never any cops at my house, anything, no Amber Alert, but she already knew, like, she left, is gonna be something, you know what I'm saying? She not leaving to, you know what I'm saying, go party or whatever. She on a mission. And she was smart, because I sure was. I was already in New Jersey. But anyway, so they arrested my brother. And it was a cop there. Like to this day, like if I'm back in Jersey and I see him, like, you know, I speak to him or whatever. Like he was like, you know, I'm wilding or whatever. So they trying to like really take me out the building and take me to the airport. So he told him like, look, let me talk to her real quick. Let me calm her down. He put me to the side. He said, listen, he like, Shanique, I believe you. I believe your story. I believe that's your brother. I don't believe that you was kidnapped. Da, 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 da. He was like, but he was like, you gotta help me help you. He was like, you have to, you have to prove that, that's your brother. Like, you have any pictures, like anybody you could call, like, what can you do? So I called my cousin who had custody of me. I called her son. I called her son or whatever, and like he was livid. Like he was hurt. It was just like he was embarrassed, but he wound up helping. He wound up sending like pictures. He sent phone records of like conversations between, his mom and my brother. He sent obituaries of, of my parents. Like he sent a lot of evidence that, could help us prove like that's my brother or whatever. So they wound up letting my brother go. We, wound up going home or whatever. And, it was kind of like a weird situation. I kind of felt like it was my fault because it's like, damn, like, I keep getting myself for involving other people in these situations or whatever. But my brother, he was cool, he was just like, don't sweat it. Like, it's not your fault, da da da. So, now, my sister that's a year older than me, and my youngest brother, they're still in Chicago. She wound up, she wound up sending them to Indiana or whatever, to one of her friend's house in Indiana. I guess she was just like, fuck it, da, 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 da. So she wound up sending them to Indiana. So my brother was able to, get them a ticket to New Jersey. Now, my brother that ran away before me, we couldn't find him. We didn't know where he was at, anything or whatever. So now the thing is, so now there's 3 of us in Jersey. So now the thing is, my father's will was for us was to stay together. So since she had custody and he was still in Chicago, if we couldn't find him and bring him to Jersey, automatically we had to go back to Chicago. So it took us a long time. I really don't remember. I would have to like ask, call him and ask him, or tell him to come on and record, because I don't remember how we convinced him, to believe that we were actually in New Jersey, because at first he didn't believe us. But eventually we did. Now we all together. I cried, like, because I missed them. Like, I cried when I first saw them. So we had to go through, a lot of court appearances or whatever, because now, my brother is trying to get custody of us or whatever. So like, we doing like different things within the court system. Of course, like the attorneys and stuff is like talking to us and stuff like that. So now here the day finally comes, and so I'm thinking she's coming to Jersey to come to court or whatever. So I'm ready. Like I was ready to be disrespectful. Like I was ready to spit on her. Like I was ready to just do all types of stuff, because that situation, them situations was traumatic. Everything that we went through, everything she put us through or whatever. But she didn't show up. She didn't show up to court. So the judge, let her like phone in or whatever. So it was on speaker. For some reason, we weren't allowed to go into the courtroom, only my brother, but we were able to stand by the door and like watch and listen to everything. So, the judge let her speak. And she was saying dumb shit. Like, he doesn't have any money. He's about to die. He has cancer in his throat. He doesn't know how to take care of kids. He doesn't even have any room. Like, she was just saying shit that she was just very unprofessional and very ignorant, I could say. And the judge, the whole time, he just rolling his eyes so he didn't even let her finish. He just hung up on her. Straight hung up on her. And he told my brother, he asked my brother, he was like, whose idea was it to send those kids to be in her care? He was like, she sounds, very incapable, and the way she speaks, whatever. Like, he was just like, I don't understand. He was like, but I'm happy that those kids are not there anymore, whatever. He was like, look, he was like, I'm gonna go ahead and give you temporary custody. You have to prove to me that, you'll be able to take full custody. He was like, the first thing that you would have to do is, of course, because you live in a 1-bedroom, he was like, you have to, find a bigger place or whatever. So, I was happy to hear that, that he, even if it was temporary, like, I knew my brother was going to do what he had to do. I promise you, after court, my brother, he was like looking into different properties and stuff like that. He was able to purchase a house less than 6 months. my brother went ahead and purchased a house so that we could have bigger space, and so we could all be together, and you know, he could keep us with him or whatever. And I want to say during those times, like I said, my brother didn't have any kids, so he really didn't know how to he didn't know how to raise kids, but he did the best that he could, even if it was like more materialistically. But like we had everything we wanted. We had everything we wanted. You know, we went on vacations every year. We had the latest everything, latest phones, latest, you know, sneakers. Like we had sneakers like every 2 weeks, like, you know, new sneakers every 2 weeks. Like we had everything. I feel like my brother was trying like real hard to make up for everything that we missed out on or whatever. And I did appreciate, you know, a lot of things that way. But I feel like as far as like masking everything I was going through, I feel like it started when, you know, we were living in his house. Because, you know, when I started, like, you know, getting dressed and getting things or whatever, that's what people saw me as. Like, oh, they got, oh, look at them, they got these sneakers, oh, look at them. Like, you know, I remember somebody said, like, who is your uncle? Who is your father? Who is your uncle? Nike your uncle? Because we really had everything. But that's when I started masking. And it started to feel good, because it was like, all right, you know, when people see me, they don't see that I'm hurt, or they don't think that I'm, you know, broke. Like, they think that I got money, and they think that, you know, I have the latest everything or whatever. So that's where it started. As far as me and my brother relationship, we were close. We were close. He reminded me of my dad a lot. He reminded me of my dad a lot, because you know, out of all the four of us that he took in, me and him were the closest or whatever. And he knew. I think he knew and respected that I was already stuck in my ways, because at that point I'm grown. I felt like I was grown. Like, I've been taking care of my little brothers, and, you know what I'm saying, making sure they was good and da-da-da-da. Like, so I just really felt like nobody could tell me anything. But he tried with me. I could say that. He tried with me. I feel like as I started getting into, you know, like boys, that's when things became a little different with me and my brother relationship. Because now, you know, I'm being really, really disobedient. Like, I'm coming in the house when I want to. I'm cutting school again because I'm going to see, you know what I'm saying, this boy. Or, you know what I'm saying, I'm just not respecting. You know, I'm not coming to, like, family events and stuff like that. Or whatever. I think it was, I think I started being that way because, you know what I'm saying, oh, you know, I was with the boy, whatever. He told me that he loved me, and that word was, like, it meant a lot to me. Like, it, you know, I heard my father tell me that he loved me. Like, I heard, you know, my brother tell me that he loved me, but for some reason to hear it from somebody else, like, it made me go crazy. So it was like anything for this boy or whatever. So my brother, he wound up getting upset. I said something. I can't remember exactly what I said, but he wound up was just like, you know what, get out. Like, get out of my house. And I didn't care. I'm like, all right, I'm grown anyway. Like, I'll leave, da-da-da. So I left, and I went to the, you know, boy house that I was dating or whatever. The first night, you know, it was like, all right, because now I'm like, all right, I get to be with him, you know, all the time now. I get to lay next to him, thinking I'm grown, and that shit was cute. I experienced, like, you know, him, you know, cheating, him leaving me in the house to cheat. Like, it was ridiculous. I was sick, especially because, you know, I miss my brothers and stuff like that. I was sick. So, you know, after a while, you know, I you know, I tried it. My older brother, he wasn't talking to me. You know, I didn't know what to do. I didn't really communicate with my little brothers. I don't know if I think I did have my phone at the time. I don't remember. But that was the first time I tried to commit suicide. I took pills. And you know, that's when my depression really started kicking in even more. So, you know, I was just like, fuck it, let me just call my brother and ask him, can I come back home? and he allowed me to come back home. But you know, he had a wife at the time, and she had rules in place and whatever. Our relationship, we really didn't have a relationship. I don't think she understood me. I don't think she understood me, and it was okay because I was used to that. Like, I was used to all the women in my life not understanding me, or all the women in my life, you know what I'm saying, not, you know, giving me a chance, or, you know, actually like talking to me and speaking to me. And she did little funny things too, like, you know, go take my sister shopping and wouldn't take me shopping and stuff like that. I really at that point, I really didn't care about that, because, you know, I already knew, like, all right, you know, you go ahead and buy her that. Like, all I gotta do is, you know, ask my brother. My brother gonna give it to me. Like, my brother never said no to me, never ever. And if he did, he gonna turn around and do exactly what I asked him to do. So, you know, that really didn't bother me. All it did was just put a strain, you know, on our relationship, because now I really don't like you, because all you doing is showing me, you know what I'm saying, all you doing is showing me all everything that, you know, these ladies and that was in my life, were placed in my life to take care of me. All you doing is showing me those, you know, their characteristics. She would say like little slick stuff, but she'll do it like when my brother wasn't around or whatever. And I never told my brother either. I didn't tell my brother until like his deathbed. Like, he was on his deathbed. Like, I never because I didn't want to put a strain on their, you know, relationship or what they had going on or whatever. But me and his wife, I didn't like him. I wound up coming back, and she put rules in place. Like, she made me get food stamps, because she told me that I couldn't eat the food in her house. She had a wash and dry. I had to buy my own laundry detergent. What the fuck she tell me? Something about, don't look at this like this is your family's house. She was like, you're gonna look at this as if this is your hotel. If this is a hotel, like you're staying in a hotel. So I had to pay her every week. And I was doing it for a while, and then after that, it was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Like, fuck this. That's what, that last time, I left on my own. I was 18. I left on my own. I wound up, I'm trying to think, I wound up getting a basement apartment in the South Ward of Newark. And at that time, I was working at Beth Israel or whatever. Now, you see, I didn't know that, you know, you had to wait, you know, a couple months, like stack a few checks and then get an apartment. I jumped right into an apartment. Probably like my first month within finding a job, I jumped right into an apartment. And it didn't last long, because I didn't know anything about paying bills, and I didn't know anything. So I probably was there for like 3 months, and then I wound up, I'm lying. When I left on my own, I wound up going back to my to the boy house that I was with at the time. And then when that didn't work out, when he wound up breaking up with me. You know, that was a rough time. You know, I was going through depression. He didn't understand, you know, anything or whatever. I forgive him. I forgive him for everything that he did. You know, I was young, he was young, and I feel like, you know, whether he understood or didn't understand, you know, whatever. So I wound up meeting this girl through him, because I think him and her boyfriend was friends at the time. So I wound up staying with her and her parents. Now this, I'm really like depressed. And when I get depressed, like I don't clean, I don't do my hair, I don't wash up. Like I just get into like this deep sunken place or whatever. And it was real hard, like being with someone else's family, you know what I'm saying? Because they all, you know, laughing and joking and having a good time and having that family, you know, relationship and stuff like that. And I didn't have that. My brother would still like contact me here and there. I wasn't working, so, you know, my phone wasn't always on and stuff like that. So, and I wasn't going to the house. I wasn't going over there to like to see them and stuff like that. I was never the type of person to like kiss ass or anything. So that put a lot of, I want to say, strain on me living with, you know, this friend at the time and her family. I had to go through, her and her family, they really didn't understand what I was going through at the time neither. I did feel, you know, shunned out or whatever, and it was a lot of things that I was allowing because I didn't have nowhere else to go. I didn't have nowhere else to go or whatever. So it was a lot of, you know, back talk and, you know, her and her family like talking about me to like their friends and other family and stuff like that, and I allowed it because I didn't have nowhere else to go. So just imagine, like, you know what I'm saying, going through depression and having to deal with it. That was a lot. That was a lot. So she, you know, one day she wound up kicking me out. She wound up kicking me out, and I believe it was over something silly. Like I wound up going to Pennsylvania with like friends that I met through her, and I think she was upset. I can't remember the full story, but I know it was something real petty, and she wound up kicking me out. So I went to my sister that raised me after my father passed. She wound up moving to Jersey. I wound up, you know, hitting her up and asking her, can I, you know, stay with her because I didn't have anywhere to go. She wound up saying yeah, but that probably lasted for like a week, maybe 2 weeks at that, because she wound up, you know, coming home from work and sitting me down and telling me that me being in her house is stopping her from like having company, because I guess she was seeing someone at the time. She said it's allowing her to, it's stopping her from her company, you know, coming over. So she told me I had to go or whatever, and that hurt me because it's like, damn, you telling me I have to go, like, you know, you don't even, you know that I don't have, you know, anywhere to go, and you know I don't want to go back to, you know, my brother's house. So it was like, damn, I didn't have no money, I didn't have anything. And at that time, that was real tough, because I remember like during those times, like when my menstrual came, I didn't even have money to buy pads or anything. Like I had to use toilet tissue like that. Swear to God, that was crazy. So I wound up walking from the south side, the South Ward, all the way to the north. The Ironbound section. The Ironbound section to one of my friends' houses, and we're good friends to this day. So she allowed me to stay with her and her kids or whatever, and then that's when I got my first apartment, the basement apartment or whatever. So, you know, I was trying or whatever, and it was crazy because I still didn't even have no money. Like when I first started working at Bethesda, I didn't have any money, like not even enough money for bus fare. So I was walking from the Ironbound section all the way to Bethesda, and then from Bethesda all the way back to the Ironbound section, you know, every day. And you know, it was hard, but I had to do what I had to do. During this time, like my brother, my oldest brother, he didn't even know like a lot of things that was going on. So when if I did speak to him, I would lie, because I didn't want him to know like I was struggling or whatever. So I had met, you know, this guy. We were like really cool. Like when we met each other, it felt like we knew each other for a long time or whatever. So when I lost the basement apartment, he gave me the money for another apartment. He was just like, huh, like, look, like I'm not, and I don't even think we were together at the time. He was just like, look, you know, I see you work hard, like I see, you know, how your heart is for others. I see this, I see that, huh? He was like, take this, you don't even gotta give it back, just take it. And it was just like, what? So I wound up, you know, I was able to move and whatever. Me and him, I love him to this day. You know, I'm always care about him. We went through things. You know what I'm saying? I hurt his feelings, he hurt mine. I was depressed when we did get together. Like I was depressed the whole relationship. So I feel like in the beginning, he really didn't get the me that I knew that, you know, I could have been. Like he didn't get that me or whatever. Even though I felt like I was doing a little bit better, me and my brother's relationship was getting a little bit better. I felt like I still wasn't the person that I felt like I could have been. um, I was going to school for a little while. I was going to Essex County, and while I was in Essex County, my little brother, he was going to school. He was going to college in Philly or whatever. And you know, he used to call me all the time, like crying and telling me he didn't want to, you know, finish school and he can't do it and stuff like that. So I stopped going to school, and I took on a second job so that I could help, you know, him. You know, whether it was a phone bill or whether it was to eat or whatever, because I didn't want him to drop out of school. My depression, it worsened over time because I didn't know my triggers. I didn't know what my triggers were. I used to pray. I used to pray to God at night that he wouldn't wake me up in the morning. And when I woke up in the morning, I'd be mad as hell that I was still alive. I had a couple, I think I had like 2 friends that were going through a depression phase around the time that I was. So we were able to, you know, relate a little bit more. And then there was a lot of people that was around me who didn't know, who never knew that I was dealing with depression. So I would just like put on a smile and act like, you know, everything was okay or I was okay. But I was hurting. I was hurting. So one day it was just like fuck it. I swallowed a whole bunch of pills. I swallowed a whole bunch. And I felt like the first time I tried it, I'm like, all right, maybe I didn't take enough. So I swallowed damn near the whole bottle. I was unconscious for a long time. I don't remember how long I was unconscious. But what I do remember is I kept hearing like this ringing noise. And it was hurting my head so bad. And it wouldn't stop. 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 And my head was pounding from the noise. Everything in my body was limp. I remember that. I remember everything in my body being limp. I remember my eyelids were so heavy that I couldn't even open, you know, my eyes fully. I remember like my arm, like everything was just so limp. Like I couldn't feel anything. Like it was like I didn't have no control over my body. But I do remember waking up on the floor. So the ringing noise, it just wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop. It wouldn't stop. So now, like, you know, I'm just like getting little strength in my body. So I'm taking my hand, and it's moving slow. Like I remember that, like, you know, moving slow, you know, against the floor, moving slow, because I'm trying to figure out what, you know, make this noise stop. So it took me a long time to like actually land my hand on my phone. So now I'm sliding it to me. Like real slow, or whatever. My eyes, like I said, my eyelids were so heavy or whatever. I remember the light like being like so, feeling like it was so bright. Or whatever. And you know, when I actually looked down, it was my little brother calling me. And I didn't answer. And he non-stop ringing, like calling back to back. Like he wouldn't stop calling me. And I just laid there, and them tears just burnt my face. And it was just like, you know, at that moment, it was just like, what was I thinking? Or like, what am I doing? Like, you know, again, my brothers need me. And I felt like he saved my life.